A farmer stood up against an empire. No crown, no army, no riches, just anger and a plan. But how does a farmer challenge an empire? His name was Lisabi, and he changed the fate of his people forever. This is the story of Lisabi, a man from the Egba people in what is now southwestern Nigeria. This is not just a story about war. It is about oppression. It is about unity. It is about people choosing to fight back. Many people have never heard this story, but in Yoruba history, Lisabi is a legend. His actions helped free his people from a powerful kingdom, a kingdom called Oyo. What do you do when power controls your life? Before we go deeper, if you enjoy stories like this, tap like and subscribe, because there are many powerful African histories that are still not widely known. Hundreds of years ago, the Oyo Empire was one of the strongest powers in West Africa. It had a king called the Alaafin. It had a strong army. It controlled trade, and it ruled over many smaller groups, including the Egba people. The Egba lived in towns and villages. They farmed, they traded, they lived simple lives, but they were not free. They were under Oyo control. Every year, they paid heavy taxes, food, goods, sometimes even people. Oyo sent officials to collect these taxes. They were called Ilari. At first, the system worked, but over time, it changed. The Ilari became greedy. They took more than they should. They abused their power. They treated the Egba people badly. The people suffered. They had no voice, no protection, no way out. Or so it seemed. Lisabi was not born a king. He was not rich. He was a farmer. He worked the land just like everyone else. He lived among the people. He saw their pain every day. He saw how the Ilari treated them. He saw how life kept getting harder, and he became angry. But Lisabi was not just angry. He was observant. He understood something important. The Egba people were many. The Ilari were few. The problem was not numbers. The problem was unity. What happens when people finally come together? The Egba were divided. Each town stood alone. Each group looked after itself. There was no strong connection. Lisabi knew this had to change, so he began to plan. Lisabi created something simple but powerful. It was called Aro. Aro was a system of shared labor. People came together to work on one person's farm. Then they moved to the next farm and the next. It was not a new idea, but Lisabi gave it a new purpose. Through Aro, people from different towns met each other. They talked, they shared stories, they shared pain, and slowly they began to trust each other. Lisabi used these gatherings not just for farming, but for something bigger. He spoke to them. We are stronger together. We do not have to live like this. At first, people were afraid. Oyo was powerful. The Ilari were feared. But the suffering was too much. So people listened. More people joined. And what looked like cooperation was actually preparation. Lisabi knew he could not fight Oyo in open battle, The Egba had no large army, no advanced weapons, so he chose a different path, a smarter path. His target was not the Oyo army, it was the Ilari, the tax collectors, the face of oppression. Lisabi and his followers waited. They watched, they planned. They knew the Ilari would come as they always did. Routine made them careless. Lisabi used that. He organized his people in secret. Clear instructions. No early moves. No mistakes. Everything had to happen at once. Timing was everything. What if this plan failed? Then the day came. The Ilari arrived to collect taxes, confident, relaxed, unaware. But this time, something had changed. The Egba people were ready. Lisabi gave the signal, and everything moved at once. Fast, precise, coordinated. The Ilari were caught off guard. Across different areas, the people rose. They attacked. Many Ilari were killed. Others ran. In one bold moment, the system collapsed. Could a single moment really change everything? This was more than a fight. It was a message. The Egba people were done. They had taken a risk. Now there was no going back. News spread quickly. Oyo was shocked. This was not expected. A subject people had resisted. The Alafi had to respond. But something had changed. The Egba were no longer divided. They were united, alert, ready. Lisabi continued to lead. He helped organize them, prepare them, strengthen them. But the biggest change was inside the people. The fear was gone. What happens when fear disappears? For the first time, they felt power. They had stood up and it worked. Everything had changed. But change comes with a cost. Lisabi's story is no different. There are different versions of what happened next. Some say he was betrayed. Others say he was killed in secret. What we know is this. Lisabi did not live long after the revolt. He had become too powerful, too influential. He united people. He broke control, and that made him dangerous. So his life was cut short. But his story did not end. Can you kill a man and still not stop his impact? Lisabi changed the future of the Egba people. They were no longer easy to control. They had learned unity is power. Over time, they built stronger communities. Places like Abeokuta became centers of resistance. Lisabi became a symbol of courage, of leadership, of freedom. His name is still remembered. Stories are told. Festivals are held. He's not just history. He's a reminder. This story is not just about the past. It is about something deeper. Oppression, resistance, unity. Lisabi showed change does not always come from kings or armies. Sometimes it comes from ordinary people. People who decide enough is enough. People who come together. People who act. If you were there, would you have stood with him? Lisabi was a farmer, but he became more. A leader, a symbol, a turning point in history. If stories like this matter to you, like this video and subscribe, because there is still so much history waiting to be told and remembered.